How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Swan Drop 1000. Today is December 2nd, 2021, and today we're going to focus on our next potential major snowstorm that could impact a lot of the Midwest as well as the Northeast next week. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So far, to begin sort of the winter season, not really from a technical standpoint, but really from a meteorological standpoint, we haven't seen much in terms of major snowstorms, especially from the month of November. We typically see a little bit more major snowstorms during the month of November, but that could change by next week, where we could see our next major snowstorm, and you see that right around the 150-hour mark, right around Wednesday, December 8th, we do see a large area of snow and a pretty powerful enough low pressure system to dump not only heavy rain and potentially severe weather in the south, but heavy snow further northward where the temperatures are cool enough. And you see that this isn't one of those snowstorms we've been talking about over the past several weeks where it's pretty much only impacting the extreme interior portions the northern portions of the United States. This is impacting the major cities further southward, such as New York City, Philadelphia could get involved, Boston, and a much larger population sector further southward, and this is impacting Ohio as well. Cleveland could get involved with some snow associated with this snowstorm. So this could be your first major snowstorm for a lot of you guys if this were to come for fruition, but there's still a lot of uncertainty because you see with the forecast hour, this doesn't reach the Northeast until the 150-hour mark, which is approximately 6 days from now, and a lot could change within 6 days. But let's first take a look at what's happening right now to see how the weather will play out over the next week or so, and see how that will lead to our next potential major snowstorm throughout the United States, and determine what factors will determine how much, if you'll receive a lot more snow or a lot less snowfall or no snowfall at all, and what factors will make this storm potentially more powerful or impact your area a little harder. So let's first begin by taking a look at what's happening right now. We do see the trough I've been talking to you guys about over the past several days move up northward, but you see that the cold air is trapped right around Canada as a result of a positive Arctic Oscillation going on. So as a result, we aren't really seeing much in terms of snowfall in the United States outside of maybe the northern portions of Maine, but for the most part, it's a rain event associated with this trough throughout the Northeast, as temperatures are a little bit above average for this time of the year throughout the Northeast. So you better enjoy it because it's going to get cold real quick, especially once we head closer and closer to the technical start of the winter, which is on December 21st. And if we move forward, we do have another trough that's going to move further southwestward. But outside of that, you see the United States is completely dry, which in my opinion, it's very rare to see the lower 48 this dry. There's at least one area in the lower 48 where you'd expect to see at least some sort of precipitation, but it seems like right after this trough moves away from the Northeast, we're going to see the United States pretty much very dry and pretty much quiet when it comes to weather, as this is typically what happens during a positive Arctic Oscillation. We see jet stream straighten out and not a lot of unstable air to really create any sort of major snowstorms or any major precipitation, as it's pretty much quiet during the positive Arctic Oscillation during the winter. However, that will change once we do see low pressure system come off the Pacific Northwest, and it's going to be pretty powerful with a millibar pressure down to around 995 millibars by the time it reaches Montana. And you see that associated with this low pressure system, we do see heavier bands of snow, and this could impact the northern Midwest states, as I'd say at this point it's most likely it will impact you guys. So for the northern Midwest, you need to watch out for heavier snowfall, as it's likely, I think, that this will happen. However, what becomes more uncertain is with this next trough, where we do see another low pressure system come off the Pacific Northwest, and it moves in a southeasterly trajectory, which would bring the cool air further southward and would create a more unstable air mass. And you see that as it moves southward, it interacts with the warmer, humid air that's centered right around the Gulf of Mexico, and it rapidly intensifies with the precipitation area largely expanding throughout the southeast as well as the northeast. And we do see heavier bands of snow develop just north of the freezing point, which is located just south of the Mason-Dixon line. And we do see a pretty major snowstorm for a lot of northeast as this rapidly intensifies as it heads further and further northeastward. So this is definitely something we need to keep in mind. Now, you're probably wondering so you're probably wondering how much snow would this bring to the northeast if this exact scenario were correct. So if we were to take a look at the precipitation radar, you see that associated with this low pressure system just to the north, we're going to see a small band of snow that's going to bring a lot of snow to the Rocky Mountains as well. So for a lot of you guys into skiing in the Rocky Mountain region, this might next week might be a good time, because we're going to see quite a powerful trough pretty much move towards the southeasterly direction, which is going to bring snow throughout all the Rocky Mountain ranges. So it might be a good week for skiing for you guys, but not so good on the road. So make sure to pay close attention to your local forecast throughout the Rocky Mountain ranges, as you could see potentially over a foot of snow in the higher elevations. And then you see, as this moves southward, you see that associated with this low pressure system, of course, since it's coming from a northeast westerly direction where it's bringing a lot of that cooler air that's located right around the northern Pacific further southward, and we're gonna see cold air interact with the very warm and humid air that's located in the Gulf of Mexico, and this could maybe create a severe weather threat. And you see that the snow then extends to the Great Lakes, and we see the snow now extend to the northeast, where a large area could receive close to a foot of snow, especially in the interior northeast. And if we were to take a look at where exactly that rain snow line is, it's pretty much hugging New York City, and I wouldn't be surprised if that before the 150-hour mark, we do see a decent amount of accumulating snowfall in New York City just before it might turn into a mix or rain for New York City. And maybe the same goes for Philadelphia. But you see that Boston is very involved in the snowfall in this scenario. It does get enter a little bit of mixing right around Thursday, but for the most part, it's snow for Boston. And in terms of the accumulating snowfall, the European model is forecasting with this upcoming snowstorm. Let's move forward, and you see that a large area, especially just to the northwest of the Interstate 95 corridor, is experiencing an area of 8 to 12 inches, which would be significant, but keep in mind, it's still highly uncertain because I'm going 6 to 7 days out. A lot could change, but you see right around New York City, the rain snow line is also pretty much just hugging you guys, as in the European model scenario. It could be another one of those close forecasts where the rain snow line will pretty much hug the Interstate 95 corridor, where it's going to be difficult to forecast how much snow depending on where the rain snow line is. But you see northwestern New Jersey is expected to experience 6 to 12 in this scenario, and a lot of Pennsylvania 3 to 6, which is still significant, and upstate New York as well is experiencing 8 to 12 inches. So if the European model were to be correct, this would be quite significant for the Northeast, and this extends to the northern Midwest as well, where by the first snowstorm we're going to experience 6 to 12 inches as well, and 3 to 6 inches just south of that. But there's still a lot of uncertainty. However, it does become concerning when we take a look at the GFS model snowfall forecast, because while the forecast is 6 to 7 days out, the GFS model is in pretty strong agreement with bringing a pretty heavy snowfall to the north, a pretty heavy snowstorm to the northeast. But there are definitely some key differences. Like, for one thing, is that the GFS model isn't bringing the snow as far south or as close to the Interstate 95 corridor as the European model, which would be a huge change for you guys, because you see in Boston, no snow is expected in the GFS's model scenario, and New York City as well you're expecting no snow, but you see that just several miles to the north of it, you enter an area of 3 to 6 to 6 to 12 inches. So this would still impact a large area of the Northeast, even if the GFS model were correct. And there's still a large possibility this snow could move further southward and impact the more populated areas of the Northeast, as there's still a lot of uncertainty. But the GFS model is also pretty certain that we're going to see a large area of 6 to 12 inches throughout the northern Midwest, so you need to pay close attention to that. So make sure to prepare in the northern Midwest. But for the Northeast, I'd say at least be aware of this. Now, you might be wondering, what will determine how much snow you'll receive by this next potential major snowstorm? So since the forecast is still like 6 days out, I need to put it out there that there's still very well that possibility this snowstorm weakens and doesn't become the snowstorm we anticipate and isn't considered major at all. But what I could say is that more likely than not, we will see at least some sort of snow in the Northeast. The questions really are is who the snow will exactly impact and how much snow will you experience in the Northeast, which are two very difficult questions to answer at this point, because we need to take into account the trajectory of this low pressure system. And when forecasting the trajectory 6 days out, it's uncertain because we don't know how the jet stream will line up by the time we reach maybe the 5 to 6 day mark. What really will determine that is this first low pressure moving through, because if this first low pressure ends up being a little bit more stronger than anticipated and we see a stronger northwesterly flow, that would mean that the jet stream would dip further southward to steer this low pressure system further southward, and it would not only make a more powerful low pressure system, but the snow should impact areas further southward because of a more pronounced jet stream dip, bringing that cooler air further southward. So we certainly need to pay close attention to as this first low pressure moves through, because it will be huge in determining how pronounced this jet stream dip is to see which areas will experience the most snowfall. Will it be further southward or will it be further northward? And however, there is also that possibility that if this low pressure system ends up being weaker than expected and we don't see as strong of a northwesterly flow associated with this low pressure system, then there's less likely of a chance that we're going to see a major jet stream dip. And as a result, we'll see this low pressure system not dip that far southward and interact with the warm, humid air and create an unstable air mass for this storm to be as powerful as it could be. And also, if that were the case where the jet stream dip would be less pronounced, this would impact areas further northward rather than further southward. So for areas such as New York City and Boston, or areas closer to the coast, this would be more of a rain event if that were the scenario. At this point, it's uncertain to say which scenario is correct. We just need to wait and see. But what is giving us a little bit more confidence with this forecast, even though it's 6 days out, is that both the European model and the GFS model are taking fairly similar tracks when it comes to the movement of this low pressure system and where exactly the snow will be located. So that's certainly a good sign, but we need to see that stay consistent over the next several days to really give you guys a very confident forecast of what's going to happen with this next major snowstorm. But for now, for the Northeast, I'd say at least be aware, because there's a large area of you that if these two computer models were correct, a large area would experience 3 to 6 and potentially 6 to 12 inches associated with this. So this could potentially be significant, and this could impact the areas further southward as well, the more populated areas in the Northeast. So this is definitely something we need to keep in mind. And if this were to happen, this would occur right around the Wednesday, Thursday time frame for the Northeast. So you need to pay close attention to that over the next several days. So if we were to also take a look at the Arctic Oscillation over the next several days, like I said, we're now in a positive Arctic Oscillation, which pretty much shows because the jet stream pretty much straightened out over the past week to the point where now we aren't seeing a lot of cold air throughout the United States at this point, and we aren't seeing a lot of unstable air to create any sort of lift in the atmosphere or more precipitation. So it should be quiet at least over the next 5 days, but you see that after maybe the 5-day mark, the forecast becomes a little bit more uncertain where the Arctic Oscillation will be at this point, as we do see that while most of the computer models maintain the fact that we're going to stay in a positive Arctic Oscillation, it could dip further. It could dip closer to a neutral Arctic Oscillation or a negative Arctic Oscillation later during the forecast time frame. So that could enhance the chances of more jet stream dips and a more powerful snowstorm occurring. Now, taking a look at my forecast when it comes to snowfall accumulation. So again, I'm not going to give specific numbers because this snowfall forecast pretty much goes over a 6-day period, and it's very difficult to forecast snowstorms within a 6-day period. But you see that I'm expecting a larger or moderate snow, which is impacting cities such as Minneapolis, is impacting Chicago as well, as I do expect Clipper system to move through the first one, and another potential chance of snow throughout the Midwest associated with this next low pressure system that's expected to impact Northeast on right around the Wednesday-Thursday time frame. And I'm expecting moderate snow for Pennsylvania, a lot upstate New York, even northern New Jersey and New York City could get involved in the moderate snow. And it's pretty much hugging Boston at this point, the moderate snow range, as there is now certainly that possibility we could see just enough cold air in the more populated sectors of the Northeast to maybe experience our first major snowstorm, but there's still an equal chance that we don't experience any sort of snow from this in those areas, so we need to pay close attention to this. And I'm expecting heavier snow in the places further northward and the higher elevations, of course, because it will be cooler up there, and it's a little bit more certain that the snowfall will be that it will be an all snow event for you guys based on the latest computer model scenario. And I'm expecting heaviest snow right around the Great Lakes region, right around northern Michigan, as we should expect the heaviest snow, especially due to lake effect snow, right around that area. So this is my forecast. I'm not going to give specific numbers just yet until maybe we're around 3 days out, maybe 4, if it seems like the forecast is very uncertain. But make sure to at least be aware of this throughout the northern Midwest as well as the Northeast, because you could see your first major snowfall for the year. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like it if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a good day.